So today I'm going to talk about the 10 things I wish I knew before I came to Thailand. Starting with, so when's the best time to visit Thailand? Well, that'll depend on you, but between the months of November and April, it's typically the best time to visit Thailand, with the cooler temperatures, low humidity, and the least rainfall over the whole year. But if you don't mind the rain and want to see the green landscapes and beautiful waterfalls, then June to October could be your favourite time to visit Thailand. And with less tourists around that time, because it is the rainy season, obviously less crowds, cheaper, so there are positives to it. I mean, if you care more about that stuff than the weather, then that's the time for you. So, as for immigration rules, there's a couple things you need to know. To start with, all foreign nationals must complete a tDac, which is Thailand's digital arrival card. You can do it online and save yourself the hassle of doing it at the airport when you arrive. Also, foreigners from most countries get 60 days with a visa exemption, with the option to extend another 30 days for 90 days in total. But you can also check online or with the Thai embassy, because they like to change these rules every now and again, sometimes restricting it down to 30 days at a time. And one more thing, Thailand's entry rules are getting a bit stricter, so I'd say it's recommended to have an ongoing flight already booked so you can show immigration if needed, or a bus or any way of leaving the country within the time period that your visa runs out. It just gets rid of any stress or hassle when the immigration comes to when you're leaving Thailand. Because I told them one time that I wasn't sure and I still hadn't booked my flights, and well, I wasn't sure if they were going to let me in. Luckily they did, but I don't want to take that risk again. So on to number 3. Where are the best places to stay in Thailand? Well, that'll also depend on what you're looking for and, well, the reason you've come to Thailand. So here's my recommendations, splitting them into 4 different categories. For more of a city feel, I'll of course say Bangkok. You know, it's the capital city for a reason. And if you want that busy city life, you know, New York lifestyle, I'd say Bangkok's the one for you. For perhaps more cultural focused cities, Chiang Mai or Pai will be my recommendations up in the north for that. For the beaches, I'd honestly say Pattaya. I mean, it's the reason I've chose to live here. Or as my second option would be Rayong, which is a bit more south of Pattaya. And for the island life, Phuket would be the obvious one, but other islands like Koh Samui or Koh Lan are also good options. And of course, these are all more of the more major tourist cities. So if you don't want to deal with the crowds or you just want to see more of the local side, then you can try more of the rural areas. But if it's your first time coming to Thailand, you may as well see what everyone goes and raves on about, which are the more tourist cities that you've already heard of anyway. So moving on to number 4, alcohol and cannabis rules. Since both alcohol and cannabis are both legal here in Thailand and essentially accessible nearly everywhere in the country. I mean, I've been to Amsterdam where they have coffee shops everywhere, and to be honest, some cities here in Thailand have more coffee shops than Amsterdam. But going back to alcohol, there are certain times you cannot buy alcohol. Because at your 7-Elevens they don't sell alcohol all the time. There are certain times which they're not allowed to sell alcohol. And that's from midnight to 11 AM and then again at 2 PM to 5 PM. So if you're planning a sesh, plan accordingly and get your alcohol beforehand. But I will say there are certain hotels, bars and everything where they don't have to abide by those rules, but that's not every place. Now on to cannabis, because it is sort of kind of still in a legal limbo. I mean, it's meant to be for medical use only and you're meant to get a prescription, which isn't too hard, I'll be honest. You can find a doctor to get that easy. But because it is Thailand and not all the laws are enforced, I mean, it's going on as it was before. And most people that are coming here for cannabis are not having any issues. I mean, you can go to most shops and just grab some anyway. It's only until they start enforcing the laws that you'll have to get a prescription and, well, it's Thailand and Southeast Asia at the end of the day, so God knows when that'll happen. So as for right now, there shouldn't be any issues if you want to come here and smoke the green. So before going to Thailand, it is ideal to get some health insurance for any potential medical expenses, because public hospitals here might require you to put a down payment or deposit down beforehand because you're a foreigner. And they do have both public and private hospitals. Private costs a little bit more. And while Thailand's healthcare does have a good name for itself, good reputation, good quality, a lot of people come here for medical treatment. So if you're worried about any of these private hospitals, for example, not speaking English, that's not something to worry about. So if you think Thailand has poor healthcare, you would be mistaken. You can get most things from a pharmacy that you need. And if you need to get a doctor, you can always pay private, see him straight away, and you can get all sorted there, no issues at all. Moving on to number 6, you know what to buy beforehand. And as far as a short list of things I'd recommend to buy beforehand, a more obvious one would be mosquito or bug spray. I mean, even here right now, filled with insects, and without that I'm sure I'd be bitten all over. And the next more obvious one would be sun cream. I mean, look at me, without the sun cream I would be red instead of having the pale face I have right now. Another good recommendation is to get a waterproof bag, whether it's Songkran or it's rainy season. You're going to get covered in water one way or another, so having a waterproof bag for your phone and all your belongings is going to be massively helpful. I mean, the last thing you want to be doing is drying all your money out, which, yeah, that happened to my first Songkran. And the final thing on the short list would be an eSIM, so as soon as you land you have data. And don't bother getting the SIM cards at the airport, they're stupidly overpriced. I'll leave a link in the description. The one I use is iRoamly. Not sponsored obviously, but it does the job, and every country I go to I just get an eSIM beforehand. And you can either pay for the data all the time. It's up to you. And obviously depending on your plans here in Thailand, depending on what you need to bring, but just don't forget those essentials really, and you'll be fine. And as for transport, while you're in Thailand, you can either use the apps, but obviously the apps are going to be somewhat easier because not all public transport people are going to speak English, so that might make it a bit tricky. So by using the apps, you can completely avoid that. The apps I'd say to download beforehand would be the Bolt and Grab, which are the Southeast Asia equivalent of Just Eat and Uber. I mean, you can use both of them for motorbike and car trips, and also Grab you can use to order food as well. It's kind of a good all-rounder app like that. Now the cost of living in Thailand varies, it depends on your lifestyle and location, but in general cost and expenses are quite low compared to the West. Food is pretty cheap and eating street food is even cheaper. As well as, let's not forget about the local markets, there's so many here to choose from as well. But if you want more Western dishes or international meals, then the prices are going to be a bit higher. Using public transport in cities like Bangkok especially will help, because if you rely on the apps and use Bolt and Grab everywhere you go, then costs will slowly rise. So depending on your lifestyle will depend on the cost of living out here. But yes, it's cheaper than the West in most things, and well, nearly everything. Moving on to number 9, Thai cultural differences. Because before coming to Thailand, you should be aware of some of the cultural differences. I mean, it is in Asia, Southeast Asia. It's going to be very different than the West. For example, public affection, loud behaviour, and disrespect towards the royal family are very much frowned upon. Also, showing respect to elders and any religious sites is a must. So just be respectful and considerate. I mean, remember, at the end of the day, you're in somebody else's country, so behave. And well, surprisingly, short-term stays in condos is actually illegal here, but they still get rented out for a few days at a time, like it's not even the law. So don't be surprised if you see a notice that's talking about this as you enter the condo, saying that short-term stays are illegal and that you shouldn't be doing it. But because this is Thailand, the rules, the laws, guidelines, I mean, it's none of the above. I've not heard about it being enforced, but it is something to be aware of. But I'm not even sure if you're the person that would be at fault or in trouble. It would probably be the person renting it out to you. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. I mean, I've not heard about it being enforced at all out here, but it is something to know. And those are the 10 things I wish I knew before I came to Thailand. Hopefully that, guys, has helped inform you a little bit more before your travels out here. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like, and I'll see you guys in the next one.